The autonomic nervous system is at the heart of our lived experience. It's where everything begins. It's the platform that is created for our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our stories. And with a regulated nervous system, a flexible nervous system, a nervous system that can be flexible, can dysregulate, can meet the challenges of the day and keep us anchored in that place of safety, we have a lot of physical and physiological benefits. We experience reduced inflammation and control of immune response. We have a lower risk of stroke, heart disease, and diabetes. We are better able to manage our emotions. We have an increased capacity for friendship, for connection. We have resilience, and we have compassion. So let's just take a moment and honor that experience of a flexible autonomic nervous system. Because what happens when our nervous system has a more rigid pattern of response? When we dysregulate, when we meet the challenges of the day through survival energies and can't find our way back to regulation. And when this happens, we have impaired immune functioning. We suffer with inflammatory diseases, digestive problems, respiratory problems, chronic fatigue, and we experience depression, anxiety, social isolation, and loneliness. So Polyvagal Theory helps us understand this biology, the science of safety and connection. What I call the science of feeling safe enough to fall in love with life and take the risks of living. The way our nervous system listens is beneath the level of our conscious awareness. So it's out of the control of our cortex. And in order to really get to know neuroception, we then have to invite our brain to come in and bring perception to that process of neuroception. And before we do that, before we begin to work with neuroception, I want to just let us have an experience of what happens on that biological level, what's happening in the background, micro moment to micro moment. And we're going to look at 3 pathways, inside, outside, between. And this really is where your nervous system is listening. It listens inside to what's happening in your viscera, in your lungs, in your heart, in your muscles. So take a moment and just notice your inner experience inside your body. Your nervous system is listening. And then outside, in the environment around us, is the second pathway. Your nervous system is listening to what's going on in the world around you, both in the immediate space you're in and in the larger space outside of the room you're in, wherever you're listening to this, outside the walls, out into the world around you. And then the third pathway is the relational pathway. The nervous system listens to other nervous systems. It's listening to what's happening between. So we have an inside, outside, and between, where your nervous system is always paying attention. So what I'm going to invite you to do is take an autonomic adventure with me, tune into neuroception. And I'd like us to see if we can invite our brains to take a rest, or at least take a back seat, while we simply tune into the biology, the nervous system experience. I'm going to invite you to look through these images that I show you, and then we'll think about these 3 questions. Are you drawn into connection with the image? And do you have a desire to move closer? Are you curious about what's in that image? Or do you feel a need to get away from the image? To run away quickly, or to fight back against it, to stand up to it? Or do you feel yourself fading away, not able to hold the image in your awareness? Do you get fuzzy? Do you then lose track of where you are? So I'm going to show you these images, and again, just invite you, just track nervous system response. So where did your neuroception take you? What did you notice? Now take a moment and think of one of those images that brought an intensity of response. Either a curiosity, a moving toward, a need to get away or fight back, or even the disconnection. I can't even think about that image. Just choose one that brought an intensity and spend a moment with it. I'm going to invite you to think about a couple of particular images. So the image of the stairs leading up to the blue door, because that image often gets a variety of responses. So for you, when you saw those stairs leading up to the blue door, what happened? Was there a curiosity? Did you think, oh, I want to walk up those stairs and open the door? Was there a sense of, oh, it's scary, something's going to come out of that door and I need to get away from here quickly? Or, oh, I'm going to stand here and fight back against whatever's coming through that door? Or did you lose track of time and space when you saw that image of the stairs leading to the blue door? What happened for you? And if we were together sharing this, what I've discovered as I'm doing this with groups of people is that we have very different responses to that one image. It's a response that many people feel curiosity towards, a large number of people feel afraid of, and some number of people lose track of. The other image I'm going to invite you to think about was that very last image of the spiral, the stained glass spiral. And just notice, what was your experience with that one? How did your neuroception respond? Did you feel as though you wanted to connect with that image, to stay with it, linger a little longer? Or was there a desperate need to get away from it, or even a sense you were being pulled down into an abyss? And this playing with images and getting to know what happens for us in our nervous system in response to an image is where we begin. That's our first responsibility, is to tune into what's happening in our nervous system, to be able to listen and get some understanding of what's happening on a neuroceptive level. And then to be curious about what's happening for another nervous system, right? I know what's happening in my system. And then I'm curious about what happened in yours. Right? That's our first sort of lesson of befriending, is that it's important for us to really know what's happening in our nervous system and be curious about what's happening in another, because we can never assume what's happening in someone else's neuroception, in their nervous system. We have our own responses.